saw this. Shabana Mahmood came out with this policy. Now we're going to dissect in expert fashion whether it's actually what we want or not. So this is this is part of it. This is the restoring order and control, a statement on the government's asylum and returns policy, and we don't have time to go through all of it at all. But I'll give you some of the main bits. I mean, there was this 5-year rule where you'd have 5 years as a refugee, that their language, we might say migrant, to apply for settlement. That's gone, and that will be 30 months instead. And it can only be renewed if they're considered in need of protection. There'll be no path to indefinite settled status. That was indefinite leave to remain until 20 years, which used to be 5 years. That was a big one that got a lot of media attention. This is a bit of a red flag, which we'll watch a video on in a moment, but the protection work and study visa route, which is here. So the government does not believe that refugees should seek to remain on core protection. They're calling their new thing core protection. We want to encourage refugees to integrate more fully into the communities, providing them sanctuary. To address this, we will encourage refugees to switch to the core protection route, out of the core protection route, whenever possible, into the protection work and study route. And so you go, well, okay, but who can get into that? If that's everyone, then that's no good either. So there's new requirements on family reunion, so that you won't be able to just automatically have your family. There's a reduced right to public funds, so you'll have to be seeking work. Imagine that. Things like that. Revoking the duty to support. We've got they'll remove the current legal obligation to provide support to asylum seekers who would otherwise be destitute. That's gone. There's loads and loads we can't get through. I mean, one of them was mad. Was that we had to currently support people who commit crimes. Did you know that one?
Previously, under the Tory government, also discounted access to the NHS by 67%. So we were giving migrants, illegal or otherwise, who had not put into the pot, special dispensation based on nothing whatsoever. You know, you have to have this system built on fairness. And there are people. I saw an interview. I think it's gone pretty viral this week. So pretty standard 70-year-old white bloke in a shopping precinct in England somewhere, essentially saying, he's 70 years old. He put into the pot for 50 years, and since he's retired, he's got unequivocal evidence that there are people that have arrived illegally, illegally and legally, I guess, that have been getting ahead of the queue ahead of him, and it's just not right. Now, it's not right based on fairness. What we have done, we've done a number of things, right? We've made minority a commodity. We've made victimhood a commodity, and we put that commodity at the very top of society and said, if you don't believe in this in some way, then you are bad. To the point where no matter where you look in society, whether it's illegal immigration or the trans debate or even disability, if there is somebody who has disability in some way, and let's just say for argument's sake that they're a professional comedian and you don't find them funny. Now, whether they're disabled or otherwise is irrelevant. The idea is that they are a professional comedian, and if you don't find them funny, in the same way as if you don't find me funny, I've got no excuse whether I'm disabled or otherwise. But we are told that if someone is disabled, that you are then ableist. And you're told, if you see a man in a women's changing rooms where your daughter is with his knob hanging out and he's calling himself Shirley, and you've got a problem with it, you're then transphobic. Or if you've got an illegal immigrant who has not paid in anything whatsoever, made no attempt to, and is getting some sort of cancer treatment in front of your wife who paid into it for 35 years, in some way that's fair. And if you don't believe so, it's racist based on the colour of the person getting away with its skin. This is mental. It is a psychosis. We have taken, like I say, minorities and victimhood and political ideology and made them a commodity and said, if you do not invest in this, you are bad. And even still now, and it's getting a lot better, but because people are scared, people say it's more than my job's worth. People will say, I'm not getting involved because they stamp down, they call you far right, they get rid of your job, they put you in prison. You don't feel like you can question it at all, so you stay stum. And that's the problem, Nick.
Yeah, and just on that one detail as well, this part, support will also be conditional on asylum seekers complying with UK law. And you're like, well, yeah. So today, criminality does not exclude an asylum seeker from receiving state support. This is unacceptable, and we will sanction those who take advantage of our generosity. I mean, it's completely the same. To see it written down there, you just realize, wow, look at what we've been doing. Um, and this was my concern about the legal routes as well. Mahmood
Yeah, well,
commented on it.
this is the point. Just before you show this, the cynical amongst us, or those who are paying attention, will look at this and think. First of all, the first impression is, "Oh, this is quite a right wing policy, and it's definitely going in a direction we'd all like." But then you see, actually, in order to try and sell it to their own backbenchers who are not going to buy it anyway, they put in safe and legal routes. This whole thing is a conduit for safe and legal routes. And what do safe and legal routes do? They make it even easier to get in than is currently so. It's mental.
Yeah, and that's the worry. And let's just see what Mahmood said here.
As we get order and control into the system that we have inherited, these safe and legal routes will become more generous over time. They will start modest, the numbers will be in the low hundreds, but they will grow, and we want them to grow because we want people fleeing sanctuary to be able to find safe harbour here in this country. And we make we are absolutely proud of that position as a government. This route will grow over time. I hope people across the House will support that, but I think we have to get order and control into our system first.
So, do we want those routes to grow? I mean, I don't want any of it to grow. I just want the deportation number to grow. It's very concerning when you hear that. Now, I'm not nitpicking. Of course, I want the policy to work, but this was definitely a concern that we have to flag.
So she's placating her backbenchers. Now, even within Reform's policy, um, in all of their policies, they try and placate and appease, as all politicians need to do, by the way. So even when it comes to their economic solutions, they have actually found a very good way of raising £25 billion very quickly. I won't go into too much detail now, but just capping foreign aid at 1 billion is an excellent way to do that, and saves literally half of that £25 billion black hole straight away. And then all sorts of other benefit caps. And even within that, they've got caveats where you are incentivized to work towards it, but it'll take a long time. And what you'll have to do is assimilate and contribute. These are all things I think that we'd be happy with on the basis that this is how it seemed to work 20, 30 years ago when we had a much less in immigration. I don't know if it did or didn't, by the way. That's why I say it seemed to. But one thing that did stand out all that time ago is the numbers were much lower, so the impact on the rest of us was less so. Look, safe and legal routes, I don't think we need them. The safe and legal route to get into this country is to have a legitimate reason to come here to work. And if you are fleeing, if you're literally fleeing war, there are a number of places you can go before you even get here. I don't think if you're fleeing war that you get to cherry pick your favorite country in Europe because that's where you want to go, or even because your auntie's here, or your brother's here, or your mother's here. I don't think that's the case. If I'm fleeing war with a young family, I just want to get to safety. Okay, and that's that. So I think that can be covered off that way. And of course, you could say that's unfair to Italy because it's on the other side of the Mediterranean from North Africa or the Middle East or whatever. But that's not our problem. And not our problem is a legitimate way of dealing with a whole bunch of things as it is with your own life. You can't open up the doors and say, we are a basket for the rest of the world to come and take the piss out of. And Mahmood, and we were talking about this before we came on air. I don't know why politicians and media broadcasters have started saying Mahmood because it's Mahmood, and I've absolutely no idea what
It's
they're doing.
like Kiev, isn't it? We all had to say Kiev. Now we all have to say Mahmood. And I was
Yeah,
telling you about the Woody Allen film Manhattan when because I remember watching it before all the revelations,
all
which
the
we
good
don't know
stuff.
if they're true or not. But there's a bit when she says Van Gogh, and he's like, "Did you hear like Van Gogh, like an Arab she spoke?" And I was like, always stayed in my head like Van Gogh, and now we're all saying Mahmood. It's ridiculous. Say Mahmood. It's normal.
And look, let's not make bones about this. This if you are a Labour supporter, and if you're particularly if you're a modern Labour supporter now, you must wonder what you voted for. You must have no idea because they are flailing around in the political winds, looking at what's popular and picking it up. Okay, just happens that on this particular policy, they are parroting something that you and I are interested in. They don't mean it. You only have to
Well,
look. You only have to, and I'm sure we're going to get onto this, but you only have to look at the history of Mahmood to know that she doesn't personally mean it, unless she has had some, great awakening in the last couple of weeks, which, let's face it, is her new position in the government. That's all that's happened, and she's figured out how she can do well in that position. I don't even feel like Keir Starmer's bought into this. I just don't see that anybody's going to deliver it from Labour's perspective.
Well, there's different ways of looking at that. First question: lots of people in the comments will be saying, "Well, she's sort of dedicated to Islam, so that's what she believes in above all else, and that's there's something in that." And they'll be saying, "Of course, she's not going to stop the boats and blah blah." The more generous view would be she's part of the Blue Labour type movement. Lord Glassman has praised her. She's close with Morgan McSweeney. So the other way of looking at it is, and she also scrupulously avoided being part of Corbyn's shadow cabinet. She said tactfully that we would drive each other mad, so she stayed out of working with Corbyn. And obviously, that was a shrewd thing to do in the long term for the Labour Party. So, really, what you're talking about, yes, it can be a lack of sincerity, but it can also be the divisions within the party, because there's just so many different parties within Labour. We know there's a problem like that within Tories, but there certainly is within Labour as well. You've got the backbench. We've got Andy Burnham right now thinking about a challenge. We've got Rayner, people say, plotting to come back with a challenge. And then you've got the Ed Miliband bonkersness, and then you've got the Corbyn, which he's now obviously independent, but you've got that side where people go, right, I'm going to have to even go into your party or independent because I'm so far out there. But then you've got the Blue Labour side. You've got the McSweeney. Blue Labour's not exactly aligned with McSweeney, but it's more aligned. So you've got these different factions, and she's of the Blue Labour type faction. And yeah, let's see. I mean,
It's the most popular thing that they've done since they got into government.
yeah, but it had to do something.
I want to look at this as a commentator and not necessarily 100% from my personal view. And on that basis, and if you discount the fact that what they've done is nick most of it from Reform, it's a popular move.